कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय हरये परमात्मने प्रणतक्लेशनाशाय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः. We are reaching the end of ninth chapter. One or two classes or maximum of three will be needed for us to reach the end of this ninth chapter, Raja Vidya Rajaguhya Yoga. Our last class, last Wednesday in India, was the 206th in this series, where we covered verses 29 and 30 also to some extent. However, we shall see verse 30 once more. As you remember, verse 29 talked about how the Lord is equal to all. Samoham sarvabhuteshu. Like fire is equal to all, but somebody who sits closer to fire gets relief from the shivering cold. And if somebody chooses to sit at a good distance, she or he will continue to shiver and suffer from all discomfort. Why blame fire over there? As Swami Chinmayananji often said, spirituality is a science and it has its own laws. And the supreme lawgiver is God, that is Paramatma. Now connecting that 29th verse, where once more Lord's being equal to all was highlighted, Sri Krishna says, I am so equal to all that even people who have lived their life in a reckless and careless manner and have a very bad track record have hope. They can also come to me. It's like the fire doesn't say, if you have sat for a very long time, a kilometer away from me, and now you come near me, I won't give you warmth. Will fire ever say that? Likewise, God is totally forgiving. God is totally accommodating. No matter what mistakes, what blunders, what sins we had committed before, we have hope, we have the assurance that today we can live differently and coming to take shelter at God's feet, we can totally transform ourselves. Therefore, Bhashyakara Sri Shankaracharya says, Shanu mad bhaktehe mahatmyam. Listen to the glory, the greatness of devotion to me, says Sri Krishna. Let me read the verse 30 once more. Api chet suduracharo bhajate mam ananya bhak sadhureva samantavyaha samyak vyavasito hi saha. Durachara itself means somebody of bad conduct. Sudurachara means somebody of very bad conduct. So far, that is how he has been, let us say. But thanks to a certain satsanga, company of holy people, thanks to some reflection, thanks to the fructification of some good karma he had done, now there is a new direction, a firm resolve to live the right path. And such a man could be woman too, worships God, adores God, thinks of God, not superficially, but deeply. Ananya Bhak, and in his heart he has nothing else surfacing on top of everything else. Ananya Bhak. Anya means other. Ananya means no other. Bhak comes from the root bhaj, bhajati. He does not think of anything else as higher than God or more worthwhile. The big problem with a lot of people in our world is they do have some love of God. Here and there they shed tears also, but their vasanas, their sanskaras, their purva karma is such, they shock you, they astonish you by suddenly dumping God on the roadside and going for pleasure, power, position, revenge, and whatnot. This person has now turned around. Mam bhajate ananya bhav. And Sri Krishna gives to him a certificate in advance. Sadhu eva samantavya. Actually, he will become a sadhu in a very short duration, but granted already. Sadhuhu iti saha mantavyaha. He has to be considered a sadhu right away because samyak vyavasito he said. There is the noun in Sanskrit vyavasaya. Vyavasaya somewhere can mean industry, that is effort, engagement in some action, engagement in some activity. Therefore, somebody who has worked a lot, let us say in chemistry, we can say Rasayana Shastre Eshaha Krita Vyavasaya. He has done a lot of work. He has labored. He has burnt midnight oil studying chemistry. And now he comes here to seek a position in our company. Let's welcome him. He is qualified. Eshaha Krita Vyavasaya. But here, Vyavasaya is more in the context of decision. Therefore, we will see in Shankara Bhāshya, the word used is sadhu nishchayaha. He has firmly decided. He is not shaky. He is not unsteady anymore. Irrespective of the heavy load of past dushkarma, he is now determined. And that makes a big difference. Samyak vyavasito hi saha. Vyavasitaha thus is vyavasayam kritavan. Nishchayam kritavan. Sanmarge gantum tasya nishchayaha adhuna dridaha. His determination is firm now. You and I should ask ourselves, are we firm? Or do we change our mind every now and then? So Shankara explains, apichet yadyapi sudurachara. Sushtu durachara. Sushtu, very well, deeply into durachara, bad conduct. Kathopanishad says, na virato duscharita na shanto na samahitaha. If someone has not withdrawn from wrong things he has been doing, as I have always labored to point out, the wrong things need not be one of those grosser outer things like drinking too much alcohol or smoking too much or taking too much of other, undesirable, unhealthy food, etc. Sleeping too much, talking too much, etc., which are very visible to others. But it can be even hurting others in subtle ways, doing injustice, not giving to people what one owes to them. Very quietly and with a calm face, one just declines, sorry, I'm very busy today, I cannot help you. Well, actually, he had no engagement at all. So outwardly, what a gentleman. Even the way he said he cannot help us has been so impressive. We should learn from him, someone may think. But really, this person has cultivated a facade of good conduct. But behind that deceptive facade, this man or this woman is full of calculations, scheming, personally ambitious. And that is also durachar. Na virato duscharita, na shanto, na samahita, na shanta manaso vapi, prajnane nainam apnuyat. Double negatives. One cannot get this self-knowledge if one does not withdraw from bad conduct. Kathopanishad uses the word duscharita and Gita uses the word durachara. But Sri Krishna says, when you surrender to God, you don't have to leave durachara. Durachara will leave you. When you develop love for God, you will forget about that drink and this food and this pleasure and that power and that position. Long ago, what was his name? A journalist representing the magazine Sunday. There was a magazine called The Sunday. I guess that was the name. I had read it when I was so new to Swami Chinmayanand. That magazine, Pritish Nandi, I remember the journalist's name. Pritish Nandi interviewed Swami Chinmayanand and he asked an embarrassing question to Swamiji about sexual instinct. And if I remember the words rightly, something like so. Pritish Nandi asked Swamiji, have you overcome the libido? The libido is the sexual urge. And Swamiji handled all kinds of questions with such wit and wisdom or such grace and elegance. He just says to Pritish Nandi, oh, I don't remember when it was when I had a sexual thought rising in my mind. That must have been long ago. What a nice down to earth answer. When being very extrovert in his uh, pre-sannyas days, extrovert meaning wearing silk dress and going around the streets of Lucknow on a motorbike and pretty much into a lot of fun and merrymaking, he became a sannyasi. His own uncle, Neelakanta Menon in Ernakulam, said, what? Balan has become a sannyasi? This must be Balan's latest stunt. And many thought, with an attractive personality, with so much of wonderful looks and talent and energy, etc., he would be not going long on the spiritual path. But after some years, to make the long story short, Neelakanta Menon, who was both a magistrate and a senior police officer in those days, those two roles could be held by the same person, was so deeply touched by his nephew's unbelievable rise on the spiritual scale. Neelakanta Menon, in his will, wrote off a very, very wonderful, much sought after bungalow in the heart of Ernakulam. I had the opportunity to visit that place a few times at Manorama Junction, very near Panampilli Nagar. And wonderful property with a nice bungalow where Puja Atma Chaitanya lives even today. I went there several times to meet Atmaji, to talk to him, have a lunch, etc. with him. So Neelakanta Menon wrote in his will, after my passing, this most coveted I am adding that word most coveted. What he wrote, I don't know. This bungalow, independent bungalow in Ernakulam, practically, the commercial capital. What Bombay is to India, Ernakulam is to Kerala. Cochin, Ernakulam, they are pretty much one. So coming back, how one can change. Pujya Swamiji completely transformed till his last breath. He was samyak vyavasitaha, sadhu beyond any doubt. He made so many others also sadhus. Coming back, Sri Shankaracharya says, Suduracharaha means Sustuduracharaha, Ativa Kutsita Acharaha api. Kutsita again means deplorable, worthy of criticism, worthy of condemnation. Kutsita Achara. Such conduct, such character, such behavior was, let us say, this person's before. But now that direction, the new direction, and the deep involvement. Friends, a lot of us know all these things, but what we don't have is an intense engagement. We do a lip service and we know everything a little bit. But in our heart of hearts, there is no commitment. The Bhāshya and the shlokas of the Gita can really kindle in us a new flame, a bright flame of the will to walk sadachara, sanmarga. Ananya bhak means ananya bhakti san sadhureva saha samyak vrittaha. Vritta means conduct. Conduct, another word for achara. So it is said, achara is dharma, not talking, how you live 24 hours, whether others see you or not, whether others know you or not, whether others can even guess what you do or not. That is that doesn't matter. Do you live true to your conscience? Achara prabhavo dharmaha says a line in the scriptures. And that Vaishnava scripture says, Dharmasya prabhuhu achyutaha. Achara prabhavo dharmaha dharma dharmasya prabhuhu achyutaha. To worship Achyuta. Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam Bhaja Mudamate. Our maths is good, our economics is good, our MBA we have got is good, our experience in the corporate world, we might have been CEO here or wonderfully positioned in some government organization there. All that is okay, but nothing like an inner transformation where Govinda, God, rises to the top steadily, consistently. Samyak vrittaha, sadhu vrittaha, suvrittaha. Vrittaha means achara. Sadhu vrittaha saha mantavyaha, jnatavyaha. Samyak yathavat vyavasitaha yasmat. Sadhu nischayah saha. So, no looking back. No roundabout turn ever possible. Thus, bhakti can transform lives. Therefore, no wonder Bhakti Vedanta Prabhupada took the message of devotion to Sri Krishna, taught some hippies who, I guess, met him in the Central Park in New York, Manhattan, and he turned them around. He made millions in the world. And that kind of work began when he was already something like 56 or 60 or something. Of course, though he was not much known before that, he was very much into sadhana, very much into Krishna Bhakti. But the world began to see him when he had crossed 55, or if not more. Why? People saw that with their false values, they had gone astray. With their flippant behavior, taking things for granted, saying, nothing will happen, have a little, do this, who cares? Come on. These are all for immature people. I am a very mature person. I can do anything. Nothing will happen to me. That's how people think. Some great intellectuals also, alas, go astray. Not only do they hurt others, they invite so much sorrow to themselves. Nobody is asking you to study some big Brahma Sutras, Brahadaranyaka with Shankara's commentary. No, people are asking you to live a simple life of devotion to God, and please let go of your mindless indulgence in sense pleasure, mindless indulgence in holding on to some chair, your thoughtless continuation of certain ways of behavior about which your own conscience says this is not right. I should not have said this. I should not have done that. Why don't you stop it? That is when you become a sadhu. So, Prabhupada, yesterday my friend Mahajan and I were returning in our car, just a 10 minutes, 5 minutes drive from some place. The Hare Krishna people, one brahmachari, at the traffic signal, came and knocked on our glass of the car window. Because of AC, the window was closed. First, we did not want to open. Somehow, then we opened. He thrust a couple of books into our hands. Rather unwillingly, we took them. And one he kept the Hindi book on some title, English book he gave to me. Either way, it could have been done. I brought it home, not very enthusiastic about it, because I have lots of books uh, and I don't follow that Dvaita philosophy. So I said, though I have love and respect for them. But after coming home after my dinner, I started glancing at that little booklet on meditation. Wonderful, wonderful. It's about Krishna Bhakti. How devotion to Sri Krishna changes you. So I said, though I am not so much a Krishna Bhakta, I am not a Dvaita philosopher, I am into Advaita, but broadly speaking, the principles are the same. And the narration of that little booklet by some disciple maybe of Prabhupada was very, very good. A good model for a small booklet to be written. So, bhakti can transform human life. You don't have to be a great scholar, you don't have to give big lectures, you don't have to write books, you don't have to travel to various countries, you don't have to have any glitter and glamour in your life. In your heart, you got to have certain steady love of God, steady love of truth, steady commitment to Satya, Ahimsa, Brahmacharya, and so on. And if you are pure-hearted, your understanding of what is Satya, what is Brahmacharya, what is Ahimsa, what is Shaucha, that's all the values. That understanding will rise and you will find a wonderful synthesis between traditional interpretations, which might not be very deep, and your new understanding, which is deep, but there is a synthesis possible. There is a synthesis possible. The traditional popular interpretation might not have so much of intellectual precision. That precision will come to you when you live the right way. So, Shankaracharya holds our hand and takes us further. Look at how he connects us to the 31st verse. Utsrajya cha bahyam duracharatam. On one hand, bahyam duracharatam utsrajya. Abandoning, casting off all bad conduct outside, bahyam, because it could be interpersonal relationships. We might be doing something wrong, something bad to people. We might be not behaving properly with people, with things, or with the one drink and food, etc. It need not be people only. External means there is some food and two sips or three helpings would have been okay. To take all that is in the bowl and feel so overfull. I should not have eaten so much. That is also bahya, because food is outside. And then Shankaracharya says, Bahyam duracharatam utsrijya antaha samyak vyavasaya samarthyat. Like the two sides of the same coin, external changes and internal flowering go hand in hand. Antaha, inside. Samyak vyavasaya samarthyat. You will be yourself astonished. How all these years you were so fickle minded, but now, even when you don't want, a certain noble and right insight and right decision emerges within you. I watched a wonderful 30 minutes interview with N.R. Narayanamurthy day before. I must tell you, I was doing yogasana in the evening and I just thought, maybe let me see 2 minutes. I had done 6 Surya Namaskars, but the 2 minutes of watching Narayana Murthy speaking at some big CNN conference or something, CNBC or something, was so gripping. I watched all the 30 minutes and then completed my yogasana and pranayama. But in between, it was gripping. Among many things he said, he is about how rather than giving lot of things free to citizens, which has its own place, he acknowledged. It is good. Poor people should get help. He said there is a need for creating more jobs. He is a successful founder and former head of Infosys, as you know. He talked from the corporate angle of view to boost the economy of country. And he was very unapologetic. Can you believe? Many of you know that he ran into a controversy when he said that everybody should work something like 70 hours a week. 70 hours or some big figure. I think 70 hours. If you say 8 hours into 5 days, it is 40. 10 into 5 days, 50. So 70 comes out. And so much of criticism of Narayana Murthy came on the media. What is he talking about? Does he want us to drop dead at the workplace? Does he not want us to have work-life balance? Don't we have to give time to family? And all that. He was unapologetic. The interviewer, some young lady, asked him, have you changed your mind? Do you think that you should not have said every executive, etc., should work 70 hours a week? He says, no, I don't change. What about work-life balance? His conviction is interesting. Not that I fully agree with him. I believe his own wife Sudhamurti doesn't agree with him. That's another funny side of it. Nor do I agree with him fully, but I appreciated his spirit. He said, I don't believe in work life balance. I believe in work. He says about himself in those days when he was building Infosys, early years, 6:20 he would be at office and 8:30 p.m. he would leave the office. 14 hours, 10 minutes every day on an average. Anyway, last part of it, I tend to take a diversion. Let me trim it up. So Narayana Murthy says, I don't believe in work-life balance. When work needs to be done, it has to be done. And then he says, I hold on to my message. Young people should toil, should work hard. I'll not go back on that statement. I will go to my grave with that statement. That's the words he used. I'll go to my grave with the words. Young girls and boys should work 70 hours a week and so on. So interesting, you see. Samyak Vyavasaya. There is a certain determination. He is 79 years old now, but that 30-minute speech is something worth listening to. Especially all young professionals should listen to that talk. He gives a wonderful vision for the country, and his practicality also has to be appreciated. One of modern India's heroes, like Ratan Tata was a great hero. There have been a few like that who are an inspiration to coming generations. So Shankaracharya says, we let go of bad, wrong ways outside, and inwardly we must take a noble resolve, good decision. Samyak vyavasitaha, samyak vyavasaya samartaha, sarvaha bhavet. With that, Acharya Shankara, the great Bhagavan Bhashyakara, introduces the 31st verse. क्षिप्रं भवति धर्मात्मा शश्वच्छान्तिं निगच्छति कौन्तेय प्रतिजानीहि न मे भक्त प्रणश्यति. Oh Shri Krishna, how did you say you must right away consider him as a sadhu? Well, he has turned around, wants to walk in a new direction with all firm resolve. All that is good, but he has not changed, no? Why do you call him a sadhu? Sri Krishna, with a mischievous smile upon his face, I guess, says, what I mean is, very soon, this man, or could be woman, who otherwise was regarded as somebody lacking character, somebody lacking good conduct, somebody who decidedly was on the wrong path, this person who was thought of like that, Kshipram, quickly, very soon, Dharmatma Bhavati. Watch out. He will overtake, he will pass. So many other so-called holy men, monks, lamas, swamis, rabbis, and padris, etc. So many people who are regarded by the society as very religious, they'll all be behind. This person who surrenders to God and takes a new direction of love of God. Dharmatma bhavati kshipram, shigram. And he attains such peace which hardly anyone else has. Shashvata shanti. Shashvata itself is shashvat. Shashvat shantim nigacchati. Attains such great peace. The very same man who caused turmoil, suffering to others, and who suffered himself also, who could not control his lust or anger, who could not control his jealousy or ambition, who was constantly in agitation, now lives in peace, and there is peace around him. That is the power of surrender to me, O Kaunteya, O son of Kunti. Kaunteya, this is Sambodhana, addressing Arjuna, Kaunteya. Pratijanihi. Pratijanihi is the lot, imperative mode form of Pratijnam Kuru, Prati plus Jna. Pratijnam Kuru. Pratijna basically means declare, announce, as they say in flowery English. Go to the rooftop and say to everybody in the town. Go to the rooftop and call all with the handheld microphone and loudspeaker, etc. Public address system. Everybody, come, I have great news for you. Pratijnam Kuru, Ghoshanam Kuru. What is the Ghoshana? The declaration, proclamation. Name Bhaktaha Pranashyati. Name Bhaktaha Pranashyati. My devotee will not come to ruin. My devotee will not meet with destruction. On the contrary, my devotee will rise and rise to unbelievable excellence. Name Bhaktaha Pranashyati. What a assuring, reassuring words. Shankaracharya explains Shipra means Shigram. The opposite of this would be Shanaihi. Shanaihi means slowly. Mandagatya. Mandagati means going slow. This is Shigram. Shipram bhavati dharmatma. Dharma chittaha eva. As this transformation is set in motion in his antakarana, even when he tries to have a vulgar thought, a destructive thought, he finds it's not possible. It somehow doesn't stay. Even if for the fun of it, or just he remembers, oh, olden days I used to think like this, I used to do like that. Let me just see what it used to be. It's not happening because an inner change has taken place. Dharma chitta is antakarana. Chitta here is the whole antakarana. Mana, buddhi, chitta, ahankara, all of them. His antakarana has undergone a transformation. Shashvat means nityam, shantim cha upashamam nigacchati. So many vulgarities or atrocities, so many improper forms of thought, word or deed, upashamam gacchanti. They all subside. Where did they go? Krishna knows. Krishna has removed them all. Shrinu, Paramartham. Shankara doesn't explain what is Nigacchati, but I guess Gacchati means attains or gets. Ni may be Nishchayena, Nishchita Rupena. In North India, I lived 10 years in Varanasi. Whenever somebody would say, definitely, they would use this expression. I became fond of it. Nishchit prakar se. Nishchit roop se. Are you coming tomorrow? Will you attend? निश्चित रूप से मैं हाजिर हो जाऊंगा सर निश्चित रूप से आऊंगा they would say निश्चित रूप से I like that तो निश्चित रूप से ये पाएगा he gets peace he attains peace without a shade of doubt Shrinu Listen, O son of Kunti, Paramartham. Paramartham, I believe in some versions of the Bhashya there is one more word, Paramartham Vachaha. Vachaha means speech, words, something that Sri Krishna spoke. With that Vachaha or without that word Vachaha in the Bhashya, Shranu Paramartham, the ultimate truth. In a certain context, it's not Brahman, but ultimate truth in Dharma Shastra. Kaunteya Pratijani. Listen and go and tell others. Nishchitam Pratijnam Kuru. And Pratijna, that proclamation is Na Mama Bhaktaha Pranashyati. Who is a Bhakta? Mai Samarpita Antaratma. Samarpitaha Antaratma Yasya Saha Samarpita Antaratma. Somebody who has completely offered, laid at the feet of Sri Krishna, his inner being. Inwardly, he belongs to Sri Krishna and none else. Outwardly, he may be junior to this person, who may be reporting to that person. He may be holding certain position in the transactional world. You may show some lady, that lady is his boss, or this man is the senior officer. This our man cannot do anything without permission from her or him. All that is okay in the transactional world. But inside, this man has completely offered his services to God. Madbhaktaha na pranashyati, will not perish, will not perish. Gita all along talks about when people perish and when people do not perish. Remember, it all began in the second chapter itself. Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsah Sangasteshu Upajayate and so on. The two verses ended with Buddhi Nashat Pranashyati. When we do not manage our emotions properly, when we do not manage our thought, word, and deed properly, things go from bad to worse. And we lose memory, we lose discrimination, and the loss of buddhi. I wanted to also say, Narayanamurthy talks in that interview about how India needs lots of skilled people and lots of good leaders, and he highlights certain expression who can make right decisions. Making right decisions, and of course, to follow through, make decisions and then forget or don't do anything, that is of no use. Decision making, right decisions. Sometimes not to decide also is a decision. That is, when there is time, don't hurry up, take your time. Some other time there is no time, take a quick decision. Those are all the associated factors. But leaders who make right decisions are the need of the hour, he says. So here we have this transformed person. So when our buddhi goes for a toss, everywhere we have something negative. Even about things which are otherwise called Mahapapa, we have a very flippant and casual approach. Nowadays, you can do that and, nothing will happen. Loose and flippant and casual and careless and inconsistent. Just a while ago, this lady had advised her daughter not to do something. And after an hour or so, she herself is doing that, whatever it is. This is called inconsistent. When it came to advising your daughter, you were another self. Now when it comes to yourself, you become yet another self. What's this going on? When you want others to behave in a certain way, love and respect is what you want. When you treat them, you don't love them, you don't respect them. You are violating the golden rule of ethics. Do unto others what you want others to do to you. It's the golden rule of ethics. In Sanskrit, it is expressed this way. Other day, I taught it in my Sanskrit class for some children. Atmanah pratikulani paresham na samacharet. Atmanah pratikulani paresham na samacharet. You know that somebody talking to me rudely, I don't like it. Then please, you don't talk rudely to those people, those children, those adults. Right? Atmanah pratikulani, whatever you detest, paresham na samacharet. Probably there's a whole shloka, I think, but the second half, Uttarardha, goes like that. Atmana pratikulani, paresham na samacharet is the Sanskrit version of the golden rule expressed in English as do not do unto others what you don't want them to do to you. So buddhi nasha is like that. And pranashyati. But here Bhagavan says, Name bhaktaha pranashyati. You don't want to perish. You don't want to go down the drain like an utterly failed person. You don't want your life, when you look back, to be something where everything was full of compromises. Then hold on to God. Hold God with one hand while the second hand is at work. As soon as the work gets over, hold God with both the hands. Om. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.